Hello and welcome to the 2025 JSRA season.
What a race this has been. But there is Dominic Charles now sitting in the slipstream of the Australian, maybe trying to see if he can force a mistake.
Oh, what a move by Moss on the outside of Jayden Harrison.
Hold them Kimani as the fans are out and about. John just closing out the gap to the Trinidadian.
2, 1, go. Fast, sharp right. Fast, sharp right. Sharp right. Sharp right. Listen. 7.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the Caribbean Touring Car Championship here as we head into round 2 of the second tour of 2025. After a chaotic and unforgettable opener at Thruxton, the field now travels north to the sweeping hills and historic curves at the compact but action-packed Donington Park National Circuit in the East Midlands of England. Track is 3.15 kilometers. We are at the national layout, not the Grand Prix circuit. 1.96 miles, 10 corners, officially opened in 1931. This shorter configuration removes the Melbourne loop, keeps the racing tight and relentless with flowing sections like Craner curves and the fast flick through the McLeans. Expect close quarters, heavy braking duels, and little room for error. The perfect recipe for CTCC touring car chaos. A quick recap of round 1 at Thruxton last week. The second tour exploded into life at Thruxton with a high-speed thriller that ended in chaos and controversy. Fierce two-way fight between Dominic Charles and Jayden Harrison unfolded late in race 1, brought Roje Robinson right back into the picture. In typical CTCC fashion, the trauma came with blue flags and another collision between Dominic on the final lap, which led to a dramatic finish for Roje to jump up the P1 and take victory. Dominic taking P2 and Jayden rounding out the podium in P3 for race 1. Race 2 had Jayden and Dominic again fighting it out for the top step of the podium, but Dominic, consistent through the entire race, held out for victory. Jayden did follow in P2 but did get relegated due to penalties, which promoted Daniel Velez into P2, who did start the race from the back of the field, and then Roje Robinson was moved up from 4th into 3rd to round out the podium positions in race 2. We'll just take a quick look at the championship standings. As right now, Roje Robinson, after taking victory in the first race and coming 3rd in the second, tops the field with 35 points. Dominic Charles in P2 with 34.5 points, only a half point behind the Jamaican, and followed closely behind is Jayden Harrison with 29 points. Riley Curtis is in promising position right now in P4. Daniel Velez in P5. Raven Plummer in P6. Roger Keller in P7. Kadim Mohammed in P8. Christian Gomez in P9, Cooper Foley in P10, Michael Thompson in P11, Leroy Henry in P12, Michael McNamee in P13, and Thankai Adriano in P14 with a half point. We had some DNF finishes between Tizwanto, Fernando, Estefano, and Kurt Moss last week, and we have some returning and new drivers here ready for the action here this evening. And what a battle we have on the way immediately. getting into the practice session now. We have one new car change. Kadim Mohammed was driving the Subaru last week and did move over to the Toyota Corolla, my apologies. So he right now does top the field with a 111, 139, but Dominic Charles and Roje Robinson were the two that were in the 110 so far this evening. So right now maybe going on a race pace, but nope. As we speak of the angel, Estefano Barrera now takes P1 with 110.883. So that's the third driver this week who has seen the 110s. We have qualifying starting in 15 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, we have quite a fight here this evening. We might have a late entry in Jayden Harrison coming in, not home as yet, so we're hoping that he will reach in for either race 1 but at least race 2. But that being said, the battles are going to be on here this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, get your popcorn, get your dinner. We invite you to just sit back and relax and enjoy your evening here with us as we prepare for an evening of absolute racing. And just a quick update for you as well this evening, and again, huge shout out to the fans there. I'm seeing pearls already going up for the drivers on the stream from Alec Whitehawk. Not that Whitehawk is not his last name, but still a good friend of ours here at the JSRA and one of our prayer warriors there, always lifting us up in our streams and everything that we try to do. But there you see even Kadim Mohammed there reaching the 110s as well. Estefano improving on his time as well with a 110.846. So the practice times are going down. Happy to see it as well, because again, we did notice only two drivers who were in the 110s earlier. So we're seeing pace being found, and even the 111s there are going down and further down, and the times are getting quicker. So looking forward to seeing what is to come here this evening. A lot of battles, a lot of sandbagging right now, as you see the two number 1 sandbaggers sitting in the pitch right now between Dominic Charles and Roje Robinson right now. Last week Roje did have a partner who he could use a little bit of team orders in to send after the Trinidadian in Dominic Charles. However, he is going to be teamless tonight because his teammate is not in or on the server as yet. So he, I'm sure, is hoping that he will have a buffer. But right now, Estefano Barrera of Nova Racing, as well as Luis Daniel Velez, the two who will definitely be working together to see if they can gain an advantage here. As some team orders were used last week, we'll see if we can get some this week. And there goes Estefano with a 110.584. So he's clearly finding some pace here this week. We know he had some struggles last week, and he even said he wasn't the biggest fan of the Corolla, but clearly finding some pace here tonight, as we see Dominic Charles maybe seeing the likes of the Colombian now putting on a good showcase. So he, I'm sure, is trying to see if he can get back some footing here this evening. We have about 10 minutes until qualifying, and I did get called out a little bit there from last week's speaking of the livery, that I didn't recognize that it was the infamous Initial D livery on Dominic Charles' car. So again, my sincerest apologies there, folks. It's been a minute and I am getting old at this point. But that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we have 10 minutes to go until qualifying, and the racing is going to get more and more intense as the evening goes on. Just a reminder, please shoot the name of your driver of the day in the chats. We will be pushing the driver of the day voting on our social media on Instagram this season, as well as we are now being sponsored by our partners from Cayman Islands in 7 Mile Racing. And the winner who will be getting the most driver of the day voting throughout the season will be receiving a gift courtesy of 7 Mile Racing in sim racing gloves. So if you want to help improve on your favorite driver's experience here, please leave their name in the chat. We will be counting it up and then posting their names for voting in our social media story. So please follow us at Instagram at JSRA Official and leave your votes in the YouTube channel as well as on our Instagram voting screen. Looking forward to many more battles. We have 9 minutes remaining, ladies and gentlemen. We're riding along board now with the Swiss driving Roje Kello, but we will just take a quick look now. Mathieu Mejia did not enter last week's race, unfortunately, but is back this week. Michael McNamee, who did have a few unfortunate series of events last week, trying to enter into the pits, but he has said he's coming back to put a name out for himself. And as we speak, we have AC karting driver John Singleton and Rodrigo Sonawile should be joining us sooner than later. We have some news pertaining to our global karting championship that we'll be doing in collaboration with them, as well as our LMU sprint series, which begins next week Saturday. So if you do want to join in for some fun, this is a prelude to our endurance series that we will be having later down in the year. So looking forward to having more persons join us for the extreme battles that we have ahead. And seeing you guys in the chats again, huge shout out to Nicholas Donald, our head steward here at the JSRA. Unfortunately is not in commission for the next few series, but he is definitely supporting us as he's not at the moment near his sim racing rig, as well as Kimani Eastman, another member of the JSRA who you typically don't see missing, but unfortunately he is not by his racing rig either, so he will be MIA for the foreseeable future. But they are helping in the background, ladies and gentlemen, so huge shout out to them as always. Looking forward to many more battles with them in the future, and I'm sure as they are inching and excited to get back, we should see Kimani joining in the YouTube chat sooner than later. But as it stands, ladies and gentlemen, help us by just giving a quick subscribe, a quick click of the subscribe button, and like, subscribe and share if you like the action that you're seeing. We love to bring it to you, but we do need your support. The more viewers we get, the more subscribers we get, the more likes we get, is the more we get sponsorship for the drivers to reward them for their hard work. They're putting hours and hours of practice every week to put on a show and to fight for this championship. And it is my absolute honor to announce that we've gotten our title sponsor again for the season, Ceramicare, who is our league sponsor, but will be coming behind us as always to support us for another season. And they've acknowledged that they want to fully support these drivers. As you see, Roje Robinson there, 2 wheels coming out to the final corner, and if that is indicative of what is to come here this evening, he does have the sun in the car right now, so you know he's definitely enjoying himself. As always, we call him Mr. Sandman himself in that absolutely epically themed JSRA, Team JSRA livery. And he and Jayden Harrison will be representing the season for Team JSRA, as well as Nova Racing will be represented by Estefano and Daniel Velez, as well as Mateo Mejia, who is now back in action. Did miss the last few rounds, but he is back and ready to go racing. And right now, ladies and gentlemen, we have about 5 minutes remaining. That was Dominic Charles that was parked on the side of the road. Not sure what happened there, but he will, I'm sure, be getting back to the pits as soon as possible. And ladies and gentlemen, just a reminder, look in the bottom right of your screen just to keep up with who is on top right now. As you can see, the lap times are being compared to Estefano Barrera, who does top the timing sheet. So he himself will be looking to put on a show here this evening at qualifying. Looking forward to seeing the battle to come. And these are new overlays for the season. Please enjoy them. Please give us your feedback as well, so we know what to do, where we need to improve, and how best to improve our product. As we see Mattia there with a 110.937, so his return definitely will be something to look forward to. He's gotten a few driver of the day votes. Looking forward to seeing what he can do here this evening to bring on a show for you, our audience. Ladies and gentlemen, the qualifying session is now being prepared. Drivers are going to be in a split qualifying session leading up to the race. So first we will have the bronze class drivers lining up, and that first minute will be for them to just organize themselves. We do have quite a few bronze class drivers here this evening. Sorry, my apologies. As you said, I'm lining up here. They'll be lining at the start finish line between. Alright, I'll just give you a quick rundown of each of them. Christian Gomez, Mateo Mejia, Kadim Mohammed, Sashan Falloon, Fernando Gonzalez, and Tizwanto Aji are the 6 drivers who will be qualifying in the bronze session. Once that 20 minutes mark has been set, the drivers will be heading out to go for their battles. So right now they've set their setups. The drivers have their own each has their own driver setup, so they will definitely be utilizing their their fastest setup right now. Low fuel runs here have been done. Christian Gomez is the first driver out to start this qualifying session of Colombia. Right behind him is his countryman in Mateo Mejia. Mateo was one of them who did show some remarkable pace here this evening. Looked at a 110.7 in the dying stages, so definitely looking forward to seeing what he can bring, or they can bring on here this evening. Going a little bit wide there is Mateo. Christian Gomez there just sitting in the slipstream there, just almost looking kind of menacing actually, but definitely just taking his time to just watch what's happening in front of him. I think it would be brilliant to just give him a little bit of space there, as you see him backing off a little bit. The two warming their tires, and the BMW going a little bit drifted there, looking a little bit loose there, but cold tires is a thing here with the Caribbean touring cars. Christian Gomez there just sitting down ready to warm his tires, warming them as they go along. Left right as I head down now into the final chicane. Christian Gomez will be starting his flying lap at this very moment, ladies and gentlemen. We'll ride along board with him. See the first driver, but Christian Gomez looking like he's going to be the one to put on a little bit of pressure here this evening, as well as Mateo. So definitely we'll be looking forward to seeing what these lap sectors will be looking like as the qualifying session goes on. So right now, again, Christian looking very good in sector 1. Now sets the a purple sector 1. Obviously he's the first person through, but right now that is a 28.816, which was quickly dismantled by Kadim Mohammed in P4 with a 28.630. But yeah, these are the banker laps, as we would call them, but everybody basically within the same time slot at the moment. The only person not looking rapid is Sashan Falloon, but right now 28. And Fernando Gonzalez, the two in the 30 seconds for sector 1. But that being said, there is definitely a fight that will come underway in the next few moments. Seeing some shout outs there from Raven Plummer. Sorry to miss you on track, but there goes Christian Gomez with a 1:12.399 as the official lap of the qualifying session, quickly taken over by Kadim Mohammed, the Belgian driver. 1:11.781. Mateo Mejia hasn't set a lap yet. Looks like he may have. He invalidated sector 3, even though he did have a very rapid sector 3 here. But we'll definitely look forward to seeing what he can do in the dying stages. So Sean Falloon right now in P4, but that time will definitely be overtaken sooner than later. And right now the driver right behind the two between Christian Gomez and Mateo Mejia are looking rapid. Purple sector 1 for Christian and purple sector 2 for Mateo. So this is going to be a battle to the front as Matteo, my apologies, Christian comes across with a 111.644, but quickly taken over by his countrymate in Matteo Mejia, and that was a 111.162, 111.198 for the Bajan driver in Kadim Mohammed. Now, as we see, who is that coming around? I believe that's Fernando Gonzalez, 116.8. This is his second race here at the JSRA, and he did have a roughish outing last week, but looking like he wants to improve this week, so we're looking forward to seeing his progress. Don't look down on anybody, ladies and gentlemen, because these drivers take their time and they grow, and as they grow they get faster and faster. As you see, it seems as if Christian gave that position up to Matteo in front of him, maybe to see if he can gain a slipstream. No, I don't think this is team orders. I don't believe they're from the same Noble Racing team. No, they are not, my apologies, but they are countrymen, so you know, still a little bit of love there, I would assume, at least. But Kadim Mohammed is improving so far, but as we ride along board now with Matteo, he comes around the final chicane right now to start finish this lap, but not his fastest lap. Will he improve? No, he did not. Still a 111.5, but Kadim Mohammed is a driver that we should have been watching, because 110.788, green sector 1, green sector 2, but the fastest sector 3 so far. We have 5 minutes remaining in this qualifying session. So Sean Falloon improving as well on his time. Mattia as well is improving, but we'll ride along board with now the pole sitter for the bronze class, Kadim Mohammed, in that Toyota Corolla. He was in that Subaru last week, said it was a little bit too low, it was bottoming out on the curbs for him, so he's found some solace in that Toyota Corolla. He will be enjoying it this evening as he again sets a purple sector 1 and looking like he's going to be the driver to beat for the bronze class, and maybe even put some drama here in for the overall championship standings as well. We saw a bronze class driver, Estefano Barrera, last season win the overall championship. Again, just because you're in bronze doesn't mean you lack a skill level, but you just haven't completed the JSRA progress system. But we have been improving, and we are improving right now. Kadim Mohammed did not set the fastest sector 2 and is not looking like he's going to set the fastest sector 3 either. Comes across the line with a 110.839, so a few hundredths off of his, or hundredths off of his previous time. We're right along board now with Christian Gomez again, not improving either. So right now with 3.5 minutes remaining, this looks like the status quo. Seeing Jayden Harrison now join the series. Happy to have him back on board. And there goes Christian Gomez. If you didn't invalidate his lap from before, it's now invalidated. So we'll just right along board now with Matteo. Christian, however, was improving on that lap, so I'm sure will be beating himself up. But 111.6, the times between P3 and P1 are separated by almost a second. So this is going to be an interesting battle between P2 and P3. It's separated by 0.5 of a second, so that's going to be interesting to watch as Matteo now comes around the final chicane to head on to start his next lap. Christian Gomez again is improving, but I believe would have invalidated that lap as we saw him going off the track. And yep, as we said, he did invalidate in sector 2, and that would have been an improvement as well, but unfortunately for him, it does not, well, it will not work out in his favor. Matteo there looking like he might be entering into the pits, maybe running out of fuel at this point, but he does come across the line now. He did look very slow in that final sector, maybe doing a little bit of fuel saving actually, so this will be his last lap here this evening, or give or take the last lap. Christian Gomez as well, not too far behind. So Sean Falloon is improving. So we're right along board with him in the Subaru, but he's a few seconds, 3.7 seconds off of the pace. So we'll continue to watch him as he continues to grow. This is his first race back here this season for the second tour of the Caribbean Touring Car Championship. So happy to have back to Sean back behind the race car. So looking forward to seeing what he can do here this evening and for the season. And always an enjoyable process to watch these drivers as they prepare for their develop over the duration of the series. But yeah, with 30 seconds remaining, the drivers do have enough time for one more lap, as we see Sashawn Falloon there improving into P4 in the bronze class session. To his advantage, he should have gone for a qualifying session but hasn't. He hasn't left out as yet, but as they come across now, that is Mattia Mejia who just pulls across now, and as it continues, this will be their final lap here if they decide to continue. And there goes Christian Gomez capping off his session. But now qualifying has begun for the silver class drivers, and that, ladies and gentlemen, puts the bronze class qualifiers to a conclusion, as we now have the silver class drivers coming out and getting ready to go racing. Estefano Barrera looks like he will be the one to lead the pack here this evening. Yes, he is. Followed right behind is his teammate from Nova Racing, drifting that Toyota Corolla. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, that is front wheel drive, but clearly he has felt the need for speed and is definitely trying a very unorthodox way of warming up those rear tires. So Luis Daniel Velez there right in the slipstream of his teammate, gave a little bit of space there, so I'm sure we'll be looking to see where he can gain an advantage. Dominic Charles does sit not too far behind with Jayden Harrison now on the track, and there we see him. Who was that? Not sure what had happened there, but we'll definitely have that, I'm sure, get some reports here this evening. But that being said, Estefano Barrera coming around the final chicane now, as well as Luis Daniel Velez. So these two will be the first two to start their flying lap. Looking forward to seeing what will come here this evening. And ladies and gentlemen, right now, no purple sectors as yet, but Estefano does lead the pack right now, looking like he will be contesting for the top step as he comes around the final corner, the final chicane, my apologies, does put that car in P3. Daniel Velez right behind, but looks like he had invalidated that lap time. But that was the banker lap, ladies and gentlemen. We should see more times and faster times coming down now as the drivers are going out again for their second lap right now. 113s all across the board for the silver class drivers, 112s. That was just their get a lap time down and just feel out the track, feel out the grip, see where you can go. There were a few bronze class drivers on track, so they have now cleared the field and are now out of the way. So there shouldn't be any more confusion here this evening, as the drivers will be putting in their times one by one. Kadim Mohammed of the bronze class and Mattia Mejia are now currently at the top of the timing sheet. 6.5 minutes remaining in this qualifying session, ladies and gentlemen. 5/10 off is Dominic Charles, so he isn't putting a super fast lap so far, but again we'll see them just picking at that time. He, Roje Robinson, Estefano, and who was it? I believe it was Roje Robinson, my apologies, were the three that were in the 110s, as there you see Estefano there going to 111.137, so still a few tenths off. Roje Robinson, first driver, or second driver, my apologies, first of the silver class in the 110s. Jayden Harrison there as well, coming around the penultimate corner as he heads out now that short straight away to the chicane. Jayden Harrison was late to the party, but he is here, looking not rapid, but still enough for a top 5 at this point. As he comes around the final corner, you see him going 2 wheels off, heads down now. It's a drag race to that start finish line, maybe about a 111.5, and there it goes, 111.561 for Jayden Harrison as he comes around. That should be his bank lap, but the top drivers are not showing their talent as much as we expected. Keep in mind that the ballast system does start with Dominic Charles with 50 kilograms down to Mr. Christian Gomez, who has 5, but the top 3 with ballast here this evening is Daniel Velez, who did finish in second place, has 45 kilograms, Dominic Charles with 50 kilograms, and Roje Robinson with 40 kilograms. Jayden Harrison, I believe, has 35, and it goes down from there. But yeah, we have about 5 minutes remaining, and qualifying is still underway, ladies and gentlemen. Who will take this pole? As you see there, Jayden 7 tenths coming out now. He's just not looking like he's catching the track as yet, but not just him, but most drivers. Before we saw a good amount of drivers in the 110. So right now, Estefano enjoying this track. He does not have any ballast here this evening, so clearly he is enjoying himself as he sets a purple sector 1 and is looking to finish this evening's race qualifying very strong, as he is looking very rapid. Sector 2 not looking like the best, but we'll definitely continue to watch to see what he can do with this Toyota Corolla here this evening. And there goes Kadeem. Estefano, does improve on his time, but still Kadeem Mohammed tops the timing sheet. And keep in mind that Kadeem as well does have a good amount of ballast. I believe it's 20 kilograms of ballast. I'll double check that before the race, but yeah, Kadeem does have his own ballast on that car, so this is done on merit, ladies and gentlemen. He just has found that lap that's just put him apart from everybody. He's about a 10th clear of the closest driver in Estefano. Roje Robinson as well, 110.9, still about a 10th off of Estefano, 2 tenths off of Kadeem, so he has some work to do as well. Jayden Harrison sitting in P8 still hasn't improved, so we'll see what he can do in the closing stages of this qualifying session. We have 3 minutes remaining. We'll have a 2-minute warning in about a minute's time, and then it will become the desperation zone for the drivers. We look forward to seeing what can be done from each of them as we tackle these next few laps. Jayden Harrison still, it looks like he might improve in sector 1, but still 2 tenths off of Kadeem Mohammed. So Kadeem has just set that lap that everybody needs to try and catch up to. Daniel Velez there in P9 sets a 111.566, and he himself has seen the 110, so we're looking forward to seeing what he can do in the next few moments. P6 for Jayden Harrison, but still stuck behind the likes of Dominic Charles and Mateo Mejia. Right now, the Toyota Corolla looks like the fastest car on the track, as you have 2 in the podium, and then right in the best of the rest between P4 and P5 is the Toyota Corollas. We have 2 more in P9 and P10, but right now that Toyota Corolla looks absolutely rapid as Estefano Barrera now takes pole position, clear about, is it only 1/1000th of a second. 1:10.788 was the time by Kadeem Mohammed. So Estefano just barely taking pole position away from him, and that was a lap of his life here this evening. And 1 minute remaining, ladies and gentlemen. What a brilliant lap by Estefano. We'll take a ride along now with Roje Robinson, who comes around the start finish line, heads into the pits. Ladies and gentlemen, is that his sign? Is that his conclusion to this qualifying session? Because he cannot go back out now. Dominic Charles now as well, still looking to improve at a green sector 3, but still we'll see how far he is from Estefano, because right now his sector 1 does not look rapid, as a 900th of a second off of Estefano. So this is still a good enough lap for him to improve. Not his fastest lap either, but still good enough to improve. We'll watch with him to see what he can do in the next few moments. So Jayden Harrison now comes across the line. No, he heads into the pits. My apologies. So we'll finish up right now with Mr. Dominic Charles now, who is coming around the final stretch now to head down into that chicane, 2/10 off of Estefano. So looking like he could improve. Just needs to tie in everything for sector 3 and put it together. Kadeem Mohammed does still hold P2 away from the other drivers. Dominic Charles passes the start finish line, 1:10.977 to take it away from Roje Robinson right at the end of this qualifying session. And there goes the final. Well, we have about 4 drivers still out there, still trying to improve right now. Looking through, not seeing anybody improving other than Deville Park. So I'll take a look quickly at him, because he does sit outside the penalty the points positions in P12. Comes around that final corner, 1:11.8 was his last lap. That was his best lap. Now comes across the start finish line to set his final lap, 1:11.772. So he does improve, ladies and gentlemen, but not enough to take any positions ahead of him. But right now, that looks like a job well done for Estefano. Still looks to improve, and yes, he does. 1:10.672, your pole sitter for this evening, Mr. Estefano Barrera. After a torrid start to the season last race, he came back with a force and a vengeance, as he's now set himself clear of the field and is looking to definitely set a standard here in the next few moments. Estefano in P1, Kadeem Mohammed in P2, Dominic Charles in P3, Roje Robinson in P4, Mattia Mejia in P5, Jayden Harrison in P6, Michael McNamee in P7, Michael Thompson in P8, Christian Gomez in P9, and Luis Daniel Velez in P10, Roger Keller in P11, Deville Park in P12, John Singleton in P13, followed by his teammate Rodrigo Senawild in P14, Sashan Falloon in P15, Fernando Gonzalez in P16, and Tizwan Toaji in P17. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the rolling start coming in right now with me actually driving the safety car for this week, which is going to be very fun to ride along board with and enjoy. At least you can get the views exactly from the safety car himself. Right now, again, we'll be leading the pack away at 80 kilometers. And the drivers are already ready and waiting for the battles that will come next few moments. We're definitely looking forward to the battles. Donington Park has been one of our favorite tracks here at the JSRA. It's never, ever ended without some form of drama. And I'm sure this week won't present anything different, as we'll be seeing some very interesting moves here as the drivers will be fighting it out for supremacy. The championship standings are on the line, my apologies. And please be reminded, if you have a favorite driver, your driver of the day, leave their names in the chat. We'll be telling them at the end to see if we can give them some form of an incentive given to us by 7 Mile Racing for our friends there at 7 Mile Racing from Cayman Islands. Safety car will be pulling away now as we head around to the start finish line. And the drivers should be heading now into the final double lane files for the next few moments. Definitely enjoying the likes of this Turbo S safety car, which again, it will be on showcase at the car show next weekend between the at the Ceramic Hair Coat booth. So definitely looking forward to seeing what will come from them there. But as we have the final corner here, drivers are getting ready and we are about to go racing, ladies and gentlemen. And it's green light racing, ladies and gentlemen. You're already seeing Jayden Harrison and Roje Robinson there. Jayden Harrison jumped up by 1 position to take that position and looks very rapid so far. Mattia Mejia also moves up a position. Roje Robinson was one who lost a position here. Seen some drivers in the grass there. Not sure what had happened, but that's John Singleton who lost out, but that does not constitute to a safety car. It was only 1 or 2 drivers. Right now we're seeing Michael McNamee chasing down the likes of Luis Daniel Velez. Daniel Velez did move up by 3 positions and already went into the grass. He had a very interesting race here last season, but that being said, we'll continue to ride along board as Jayden Harrison now is in P4, from P7 to P4 in only the likes of 2 corners, and he hunts down his well, who is that? Is that Mr. Kadim Mohammed and Dominic Charles there? They were fighting it out early last week between Jayden Harrison and Dominic Charles, but there they go, heading down into the final chicane. Jayden Harrison almost bullying that bronze class driver in Kadim Mohammed. Estefano using this time as his moment to get away, but Jayden Harrison now hunting down the likes of Dominic Charles. Dominic hunting down the likes of Estefano Barrera. What a brilliant start here. Kadim Mohammed as well drops down 2 positions. Roje Robinson as well, looking to see if he can gain a position here. This is his moment to shine clearly as he now heads down now to see if he can make that move on the likes of Kadim Mohammed. So Kadim from P2 to P6 in that Toyota Corolla, and Roje Robinson there bullying his way through to take P5 away. Mattia Mejia now will be hunting down the likes of Jayden Harrison, vice versa for Roje Robinson on the likes of that Colombian right behind. What a battle this has been, ladies and gentlemen. And ladies and gentlemen, just a quick update. We did have 2 drivers who got drive-through penalties at the start. One was Rodrigo Sanawal and the other was Fernando Gonzalez. I don't know if they've taken it as yet, but definitely did lose out there in the beginning of the race. So unfortunate for them, but that being said, we'll continue to ride along board now as we see that battle between Sashan and Michael Thompson, who did drop down a few places. So Sashan will be hunting down the likes of that Jamaican driver. The 2 will be hunting down the likes of the BMW driven by Christian Gomez in P12. Rodrigo Sanawal there. Who is that? Is that Roger Keller, who was off track, now comes back on? And is that Rodrigo? Rodrigo gets around the corner good enough and clean enough to take that position away and is looking very good in these next few moments. Mattia Mejia though is right there on the bumper of Dominic Charles as well as Roje Robinson. So this is a fight that we will definitely be enjoying in the next few moments. And ladies and gentlemen, we're now 16 minutes in, 4 minutes into the race. We're about 16 minutes remaining, and we'll be watching and riding along board now as Kadim hunts down. Sashan Falloon was disqualified. He was another one who did not take his drive-through penalty. So Sashan was disqualified from the race from real penalty. So he, unfortunately, on his debut back, will not be able to continue in race 1. Hopefully we'll see him back in race 2. But that being said, Kadim still hunts down the likes of Roje Robinson. This is a train from P6 all the way up to P2 or P1, my apologies, P1. Good 2 seconds clear of Jayden Harrison. Jayden now trying to hunt him down. He does have more ballast than the likes of Estefano Barrera. Dominic as well has the most, so he's going to be struggling. But who is that? That's Roje Robinson with the fastest lap of the race with a 1:11.067. Takes a look on the outside of Mattia Mejia, but not enough. And there goes Mattia going very wide, and that will be a position for Roje Robinson as Mattia now under threat by Kadim Mohammed. Kadim now taking the outside. That is a longer line out, leaving up space, and there they go. Contact was made, and Kadim Mohammed and Mattia Mejia make contact, and that will be their race undone as Michael McNamee now comes through and makes his positions up. Daniel Velez as well comes through to gain a position as well. We saw him very consistent last race to take that P2 from the likes of many drivers in front that found themselves in some incidents. But that is so unfortunate for the Bajan and the Colombian driver, who were definitely looking so racy here in the original stages of this race. Roje Robinson now has the likes of Dominic Charles right there in his purview, and these two did find themselves in race 1 fight. I'm having quite a battle, if I do say so myself, where they literally did the same exact move into the chicane at Thruxton, and the two did the same exact move to swap position twice. So this will we see another repeat of this here this evening. 4/10 off is Roje Robinson from the likes of Dominic Charles. This is going to be very interesting to watch. We'll just take a brief look now at Mr. Kadeem Mohammed, who is hunting down the likes of Daniel Velez. But while we're watching that, Roje Robinson still just being very patient, and you know that Mr. Charles can put on quite a defense here. So looking forward to seeing what he can bring here this evening, because you know how he moves. He can leave a door open for one corner and attack you in the next. We've seen it before, folks, and we're definitely looking forward to seeing it again. These three took the show last week, and I'm sure they will be trying to bring the fiber right now. Estefano looking like he's enjoying this evening's race the most, as he is almost 2.5 seconds clear, 2.2 seconds clear of Jayden Harrison. 13 minutes remaining now. Consistency is going to be their fruit for this evening to see who can get an advantage. But there, Roje Robinson looking like he's catching up, sitting in that slipstream. And ladies and gentlemen, please be reminded that the slipstream is that much more powerful. And there goes Roje Robinson on the inside, heading into turn one. Dominic Charles now concedes P3, the final podium position, but he is not going to give up. We've seen it before, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to be the battle to watch for the next few moments. But right now, Dominic Charles about 2 or almost about a 10th off of Mr. Roje Robinson, and these two will be putting on a battle here. And this is what we came to see, ladies and gentlemen. We know Dominic isn't giving this one up too quickly, and we'll see what he has in store for us this evening. And there he goes, very late on the brakes, and there, almost making contact. That Jamaica got real big really quickly here in these stages. 12 minutes remaining, and now it's two Jamaicans on the podium chasing down Estefano Barrera with the Trinidadian in the rear view in an initially themed Toyota Corolla, hunting down the likes. Originally we saw Toyota dominance looked very superior in qualifying, but now race pace looking like it's going to the Hyundai, but we do have two Hyundais and two Toyotas, so hey, who knows at this point. We'll see what can happen, but we'll just take a quick look now. Dominic takes a dive on the inside, and ladies and gentlemen, this is exactly what we got last week. One lap Roje took it to Dominic Charles, and then the next lap Dominic took it to Roje, but no, neither conceding. There is contact, and there goes Dominic Charles now. As the two did, well, they did go in side by side, but contact went to Dominic Charles and he went careening off, and that was just unfortunate, because what a battle that was. A little bit of a commentator's curse, my apologies. But that being said, Kadeem Mohammed there right on the outside of Daniel Velez now, I guess took a little bit of evasive maneuvers, but enough space was left by the Colombian. So now these two will continue their fight onwards. Michael McNamee too far out to capitalize from that incident with Dominic, but Dominic, I'm sure, will be pushing to see where he can gain an advantage. I'm sure we'll be seeing that in the post-race stewarding here later on after this race. But that being said, we never know what had really happened until after. But right now, Estefano leading by 2.5 seconds, followed by Jayden Harrison, followed by Roje Robinson, followed by Dominic Charles, followed by Michael McNamee, and then Daniel Velez and Kadeem Mohammed are the two fighting it out. And right behind them is Christian Gomez and Roger Keller fighting it out. But there goes Kadeem, still chasing the likes of Daniel Velez, and still not close enough, but is hunting, and don't count him out yet, ladies and gentlemen. We're about to reach that 10-minute warning, and I'm sure he'll be pushing to see where he can gain that advantage on the Colombian in front. And quick rundown now. Well, before we even get to that, Kadeem Mohammed is making a move, but still not close enough. Does go to look for if he can do a switcheroo on the likes of Daniel Velez. Now the two are going into this short drag race down now to the chicane, and right now Kadeem is where he exactly wants to be, as he will be getting the inside, but the inside will lead to the outside, but then heading down into turn one will lead back into the inside. But Daniel Velez now concedes. P6 goes to Kadeem Mohammed, and Daniel Velez demoted, my apologies, to P7. But this fight is still going to continue for the foreseeable future. Who is that in the Subaru? That's John Singleton, who literally just pulled across the field, just allowed everybody to go through, maybe using this as his practice. Not sure what had happened there, but he just pulled us alongside and allowed the other drivers to pass him to Zwantaji right in front as well. Fernando Gonzalez making his way downtown, and Mattia Mejia, who did start in the top 5, now sits in P12. Christian Gomez still chasing down the likes of Roje Keller, the Swiss driver, for that final points position in this race. We have 8.5 minutes remaining, and Christian, now we've seen him with some very good pace here, so don't count him out yet. He is still hunting down the likes of that Swiss driver in that Toyota Corolla. I'm sure we'll see some moves here later down in the next few moments. And ladies and gentlemen, just a reminder, leave your drive of the day votes in the chat. And as you see Christian there going 2 wheels out and just enjoying himself here this evening in that BMW. That is one of my favorite cars, as well as he heads down now to turn 1. I just saw a car coming out of the pits, but maybe anyways, we'll focus on what's happening in front. That is Michael Thompson, so I think that was just his racing line. But yeah, please leave your drive of the day voting in the chat. Whoever is impressing you the most here this evening. We've seen Jayden Harrison jump positions. We haven't seen much of Estefano, but he now has a 5-second gap as he comes around to lap the likes of John Singleton, AC karting driver. But Jayden Harrison 5 seconds off of Estefano, so Estefano just not doing or putting a foot wrong. He has done the fastest lap of the race so far with a 1:10.531, but he's just dominating this from start to finish as it stands. But right now, Christian Gomez looking on the inside of Roje Keller, the Swiss driver, as they head down now. He will have the ID line, looking like he's using the push to pass now, or his hybrid system, my apologies. And who will go later on the brakes? He does have authority here. Takes that corner, Roje Keller conceding it, and there goes Christian Gomez, and there he goes sideways, lost it on his own accord. Roje Keller now takes back that position, and Mattia Mejia, no, that was, who was that? That's a blue flag driver, my apologies. I believe that's John Singleton who did take that, but not moved up in position, just unlaps himself. But what an unfortunate move there for Christian. Christian looked like he had the move stuck, but just went a little bit too wide, threw the balance off on his car, and that was his race. And now Roje Keller will run away, now 2 seconds away, with a buffer between them with the likes of that blue flag in John Singleton. Ladies and gentlemen, while we've been focusing on the other battles, Kadim Mohammed has now closed the gap back to Michael McNamee, and he's now under second. So we're right along board with them in the moment's time as we wait to see what will happen in the next few moments. But so much has just saw some comments there where Gomez got lost in the sauce. That was unfortunate for him. But right, as we've been saying, Kadim has been showing some very good pace. Did start out in P2 here this evening, so he has the pace to catch up. He's closing that gap between himself and the Jamaican in front of him in Michael McNamee, and I'm sure he will definitely be trying. As you can see, Michael frantic to get the blue flag in front of him out of the way. So the flashing has already started, and Kadim Mohammed now closes the gap on him. Is this Davil Park now as well, who has closed the gap on Daniel Velez? So what has happened to Daniel, as he's just fallen off as well, or maybe went off or something there in the last few corners? But yeah, that being said, Davil Park now hunts down. 5-minute warning now. Kadim Mohammed as well hunting down the likes of the Jamaican in Michael McNamee, but right behind is Davil Park, who is looking, but the blue flag does, or is in the way, but does get out of the way quickly, and that should be safe going for them in the next few moments. But right now, Kadim Mohammed is hunting down Michael McNamee for that P5 in the in the first race of this evening, and he is looking and just waiting on his moment. But 4 tenths, 5 minutes remaining in this race. I'm sure he will be just buying his time to wait for the exact perfect moment to take that position away from the likes of the Jamaican driver in front of him. But look at him go. He's just there sitting in the slipstream, very menacing in that Toyota Corolla. That Corolla dominance, as I said earlier, looking very promising here this evening. Daniel Velez, they're still being hunted by Deville Park. Deville, no! There's a little bit of contact. And Deville there just has to back out, because otherwise that would have been very dramatic here. But no, Kadeem Mohammed now 2 tenths off, still hunting down the likes of Michael McNamee as they come around the final, well, not the final corner, but the penultimate corner for that short drag strip. But no, maybe not choosing now to go for the move, but wait until they go through the chicane. Now is where you coast a little bit, try and carry as much speed. There you see Michael there cutting the curb as much as he can to see if he can gain as best of an advantage. The gap does increase slightly, but still not enough. But 1 second now is the gap between Kadeem and Michael McNamee. Deville Park still hunting the likes of Daniel Velez. 3 minutes remaining, and this battle, this evening's fights have just been continuous from start to finish. Christian Gomez as well, catching up to the likes of Roje Keller. Can he pull off a feat in the last few moments of this race? Because he himself just needs that extra points. He's higher in the point standings to Roje Keller, and you would want to keep that going. So we'll definitely ride along board to see if he can gain that extra point or two here. But Kadeem again has loosened that gap from 1 second to under 5 tenths of a second, looking like he's just pulling Deville Park as well, looking on the outside of Daniel Velez there, side by side as they head down now into the penultimate corner to head around and come down that drag strip, looking like he's using a little bit of that hybrid system. Goes on the outside. Daniel immediately going defensive. Kadeem as well, looking like he's going, so it's 2 battles at one. Right now the first one to get into the chicane is Kadeem and Michael McNamee, and the move was done and dusted. But right now Deville Park and Daniel Velez still fighting it out. Deville did not get the move done. Daniel did do enough defense to hold off the charging Jamaican. Deville still has some more work to go. We should have the 2-minute warning in about now, and now we have the desperation zone, ladies and gentlemen. Michael McNamee now will be hunting out Kadeem, but Kadeem just looks like he has the pace to just pull away. So right now Christian Gomez 5 tenths off of Roje Keller. Will continue to ride along board to see what happens there, but as we watch them, Deville Park still hunts down the likes of Daniel Velez. So this is going to be a very interesting battle, as the two are now side by side, right behind each other, only a few tenths off of each other. And this is going to be the battle. 1.5 minutes remaining, ladies and gentlemen. This is a desperation zone. We've seen it in the past where drivers will just send a dive on the inside at that last minute. This is their do or die moment, and as you see it, Deville Park again goes on the outside. Daniel immediately goes defensive. Little bit of lag there, so we'll watch that to see what happens, because we saw a little bit of a teleporting there for Daniel. So maybe Deville just had to back out just to be safe. As you see a blue flag there again, trying to get out of the way, and there you see Deville Park using the grass, if he can use the grass to get through, but not enough. And Deville Park will be hunting down Daniel Velez for the next few moments. But guess what, ladies and gentlemen, Michael Thompson is now aboard this exact fight. So he's now sitting right in the slipstream of Deville Park, waiting on any scraps to pick up if there are any incidents. Hopefully that's not the commentator's curse. But that being said, Michael Thompson now enters the chat, and as we speak of this, Christian Gomez still hunting down that Swiss driver in front and looking rapid as he's right there on the rear end of that Toyota Corolla. Again, these are the final point standings, so he wants his position more than anything. Looks on the outside, goes back to the inside, pushes that Swiss driver to the inside, just trying to see where he can make that Swiss driver just a little bit more confused to make that move. We've seen drivers in the past do that same exact move. She's sitting down in the chats right now listening out. Raven Plummer had the overtake of the day last season for one of our races with a very similar move, but there goes Christian Gomez on the outside. Roje Keller immediately goes defensive and will have the better line. Who will get out of this unscathed, and who gets a better run coming out? Christian looks like he might, but nope. No, he will not, because now he is fighting for his life. Estefano Barrera will have one more lap after this lap to finish this race. So he is on his penultimate lap, and he is now 9 seconds clear of the field, ladies and gentlemen. What a battle this has been to the end, and there goes Christian Gomez into the rear of Roje Keller. Roje Keller now trying to get back control of his car. Christian Gomez is promoted into P9, P10, my apologies, but we'll definitely be looking at that in the post-race tuning. But as we ride along board now with, oh, he definitely concedes that position immediately, but now Estefano is on the final lap. So Christian Gomez did concede that position and gave it back to Roje Keller, luckily, so they will be fighting it out until the end. But now about a second buffer between them. Is that going to be too much? But still, the Ville Park hunting down Daniel Velez, but there is still a little bit of rubber banding there by Daniel, so this might be a little bit unsafe for these drivers right now. You see that BMW losing the rear end slightly, but still enough to keep his composure. But right now, ladies and gentlemen, we will just take a quick look, because the leader, well, let's just continue to ride along board here, because these two are still fighting. But nonetheless, coming up to the penultimate corner is the race leader, Mr. Estefano Barrera, who has just put on a brilliant showcase here this evening, has just done what he's needed to do the entirety of this race. Now comes around the final chicane in that Noble Racing to take race 1 for the second tour of the season here at Donington Park. Does look very rapid in sector 2 as well, maybe trying to even cement this win with a faster lap, but doesn't, but still wins this race. Estefano Barrera of Noble Racing comes in P1, followed right behind is Jayden Harrison in P2, followed by his teammate in Roje Robinson. Dominic Charles again as well in P4. Kadeem Mohammed comes around now in P5 with Michael McNamee right there in the background to take P5 and P6. Luis Daniel Velez looking like he will hold off the Ville Park for the foreseeable future, and yes he does. Luis Daniel Velez in P7, the Ville Park in P8, Michael Thompson in P9. Roje Keller comes around the final corner now in the final points position. Christian Gomez gave up that position, and that battle was absolutely epic. Christian Gomez finishes off in P11, Roje Keller in P10. Tizwanta G finishes off in front of Matteo. Tizwanta finishes off in P12, his best position. No, my apologies, he does finish in P13. Matteo finishes in P12, John Singleton in P14. Fernando Gonzalez did not finish, it seems. No, there he goes to finish off, my apologies. It was Sashan Falloon and Rodrigo Sonowell who did not finish. Congratulations to our driver, our first place dominant performance here by Estefano, and what a brilliant battle for these drivers here this evening. And ladies and gentlemen, we are now ready for the battle. And we have the second race about to start. Roje Keller does lead from the likes of Michael Thompson. And we have red flag racing, green flag, green flag, green flag. And the racers are off, ladies and gentlemen. The start has begun. Roje Keller looking very clean here so far. Who is that? Daniel Velez. Making some ways downtown, as well as Dominic Charles and Jayden Harrison, who are already fighting it out in P5 and P4, fighting and fighting and fighting. And this is them side by side as they head down now into turns 3 and 4. Jayden Harrison looking like he's getting that move done, and Jayden Harrison takes P4 for the start of race 2. What a brilliant start by Jayden already, as well as Dominic. So these drivers will be hunting down each other for the likes of supremacy. We have five Toyota Corollas in the top 5. And seeing the likes of somebody in the background, that's Tizwanta G was taken out, heard them in the driver's room, so not sure what had happened there, but unfortunate for him. Oh my gosh. But right now, as we speak of that, Daniel Velez trying to make the move on Dominic Charles again. Dominic Charles did have to go wide, and there he goes right in front of Roje Robinson. There's so much drama happening in only a few moments. Roje Robinson moved from P8 to P6. Now Christian Gomez, Dominic Charles and Kadi Mohammed are fighting it out right now. As you see, side by side is Roje Robinson and Kadi Mohammed, and right behind them is Dominic Charles. Luis Daniel Velez got a drive-through at the start, unfortunately, so he just now comes out of the pits and takes that drive-through. Is that Tizwanta G in front? No, that was Fernando Gonzalez. So unfortunate for him there, but as we've spoken about it, there is Jayden Harrison there fighting through for P2 in this race, and there he goes with a purple sector 1, so looking like he's found the pace here this evening and is now on the hunt for Mr. Roje Keller here, the Swiss driver. We know that this battle is going to be hot in the next few moments, but Kadi Mohammed as well chasing down the likes of Roje Robinson, Mattia Mejia right there in the likes of Dominic Charles. Dominic Charles right there in the slipstream of Christian Gomez, hunting. This is going to be his moment. He's looking to see if he can gain an advantage, and right behind him is Matteo and McNamee. Davil Park there getting a stop and go. Taking his stop and go penalty, my apologies. But there quickly dismantled is Jayden Harrison taking that fastest slap away. Michael Thompson as well right behind. Estefano Barrera, where did he come from, is in P4, and Roje Robinson as well. So this is going to be a very fun fight to the top, because we have Jayden Harrison, Estefano and Roje Robinson, and Dominic Charles, all between 2 seconds of each other and 2 seconds off the race leader in Roje Keller. This is going to be a brilliant fight for the next few moments. Kadi Mohammed as well just hunting down Roje Robinson. He's looked extremely well, but there is Jayden Harrison. We'll watch this fight for the lead now, as he is there just in the slipstream of Roje Keller. Looks like that could have been contact between the two, and now they head down now onto that start-finish stretch. Jayden Harrison, who is that? Michael Thompson looked like he found contact with the likes of Jayden Harrison, but he just went on the inside. Not sure what exactly happened there, but he is the biggest loser now coming out of all of that. So Jayden Harrison still holds on to P2. Roje Robinson is promoted into P3, Kadi Mohammed into P4, but Estefano Barrera now as well was relegated down now to P7, so he lost 3 positions, moving from P4 to now P7. Dominic Charles as well, but there he is hunting down the likes of his countryman Christian Gomez, takes that move to him, and that is his promotion into P6. Dominic Charles as well will be chasing down the likes of Kadi Mohammed. He hasn't given it up, but everybody's only a few mere tenths of a second behind each other. Jayden Harrison there just sitting, waiting for his moment. Roje Robinson as well right there, clear and waiting for any incident to happen. We've seen it in the past, and I'm sure he's waiting on his moment to fight as well and see if he can gain an extra position or two. These teammates have found themselves fighting more times than I'm sure they would have wanted, but that being said, they will be hopefully pulling some form of team orders here at this point, this looks like Papaya rules. Fight it out until the end. And as you see, Roje Keller there going defensive. Jayden sitting in that slipstream, looking now on the outside again. Jayden Harrison now still not enough, but there he goes, cutting the track and goes for the outside line now. But Roje Keller now closing the gap as quickly as possible. But will he get the inside line? Jayden not close enough, but yes, no, he is looking like he's using a little bit of bump passing between himself and his teammate. And there goes Jayden Harrison into P1. Roje Robinson, you helping his teammate out there. Good. Well, I guess that's not necessarily Papaya rules, but good enough for JSRA rules, as the two have pushed each other up into P1. And now the Swiss driver is under attack by not just one, but two, but three, but four drivers, as now Roje Robinson looking to see if he can make that move. Now looks on the outside. Roje Keller again on the inside line, and there goes Roje Robinson, and now it's promoted into P2, and the two Jamaicans take the top step. Dominic Charles now, though, he's looking like he wants two positions in one, because he overtook Kadeem Mohammed and now Roje Keller. So Dominic Charles, who was in P5, now in P3 and is on the hunt for the Jamaicans. These are the three that we've seen, or are the three in the championship fight. Estefano Barrera taking the first race does also follow suit. So Roje Keller loses 4 positions in one lap, and now Estefano hunts down the likes of Dominic Charles. Dominic hunting down the likes of Roje Robinson, but Jayden Harrison, I'm sure, will be happy to have that buffer between himself and the Trinidadian. Right now, the battles are definitely intensifying. Wow, what a start. That being said, ladies and gentlemen, from P10 all the way to P1, it's basically a train all the way down to about P11. So everybody is still very much so in contention. One slight mistake could capitalize yourself on some very good points. Kadeem Mohammed here hunting down Michael McNamee again and looking in his slipstream. About a 10th clear, side by side now, takes the inside line, and he will be hunting down Michael McNamee. Looks like he's going to get this position, but Michael will have the better line for the next corner, for the next 2 corners, as a matter of fact. Who will be late on the brakes here? Is it Kadeem? And it was pushed out, and that gave Michael Thompson enough time to get in between himself, the Jamaican, and the Bajan driver. And Michael Thompson now promoted into P9. What a move there by the Jamaican, and making his way downtown, walking fast and clearly in my favorite car, the Mitsubishi Lancer, for obvious reasons. And Jayden Harrison continues off in P1, followed by Roje Robinson, followed by the fastest driver on track right now in Dominic Charles. Estefano Barrera right behind. Who will be the victor here this evening? Roje Keller as well sits in P5, but Michael McNamee as well as Michael Thompson, these two are the ones fighting it out for position right now, as you see Michael and Michael Karim, and you see the red Lancer on that Ford Focus, and the two are going side by side. These are moments, and look at Kadeem Mohammed just waiting for his moment to shine, and there goes Michael McNamee into the grass, and there he goes careening into the likes of a blue flag driver. Was that a blue flag driver? I believe it was a blue flag driver, and that was unfortunate, but still not enough to cause a major incident. But now the fight is on between the Bajan and the Jamaican, and Michael Thompson and Kadeem Mohammed, who is there. Ooh, looks very tight. They're heading in to that final straightaway, and now they will be on a drag race to see who can get to that chicane first. But wowzers, what a battle this has been. Mattia Mejia still hunting on the likes of Christian Gomez, hunting on the likes of the Swiss driver in Roje Keller, but Dominic Charles right there in the slipstream of Roje Robinson, in the slipstream of Jayden Harrison. Could there be team orders, or is this just their plan to just try and hold up the Trinidad driver? But right now, Roje looks like the faster driver, and he is under threat by the Trinidadian driver. So now it's going to be very interesting, as we have a full 12 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. This race felt like it was going under about 5 by now, but still more than enough time for the Trinidadian driver to make a move. There you're seeing in the background Estefano, a little bit wide, but not too wide, but there still right in front of Estefano is that fight between the Jamaicans and the Trinidadian driver. Dominic Charles now looking on the inside of Roje Robinson. Is this going to be the move? This is going to be the position that Dominic would have wanted, to be on the inside line, and the two go almost touching. Good, very clean and competitive competitive and hard racing here, but right now this is what Dominic wants, the inside line, but that hybrid system clearly working for Roje Robinson. Will Dominic just go later on the brakes? No, he will not. Roje Robinson lines it up, looks like a little bit of contact there from the Trinidad driver. Estefano now takes 2 positions in one, and Roje Robinson loses out 2 positions to that one move, but Dominic there conceding the position. Unfortunate there for Dominic and Roje Robinson, and now as they speak, Mattia Mejia as well goes to take that position away. Roger Keller moves up into the podium positions. Roje and Dominic will have some fighting to do here, but they are fast drivers on track, so you know that they will be definitely pushing to see where they can concede and finalize their final positions here this evening. Estefano Barrera now in P2, hunting on the likes of Jayden Harrison. It won't be as easy with the 50 kilograms of ballast on Estefano's car. Estefano is coming out with a violent truth, but I just saw in the background Matteo and Roje found themselves into contact. And Mattia there has to go drive back to pits, teleport back to pits, my apologies. And that was unfortunate because now Roje Robinson, who was in the top 3 contention, is now relegated to P9, and that is very disappointing for Roje. And you know he's beating himself now because he was doing so well in those stages of the race. And there you see Roje Robinson there right in the slipstream now of Michael McNamee. Now this damage limitation, try and gain as much points as possible. Is this the fight to be in, Michael? This is going to be the decision, but hey, we are racers, we're not going to just concede a position. Who is that in the background? That is John Singleton, just watching and waiting, but there is Roje Robinson again, just hunting down the likes now. Unfortunate for him, I'm sure would not have wanted to be in this position. Michael Thompson now, the Jamaican, just sitting down looking on the inside now of Christian Gomez, tuning right in time. Now he takes a position and moves up into P5. Christian Gomez now being hunted by the likes of Kadeem Mohammed, and Kadeem now, we've seen him with pace, is looking for a way to get through. And who was that? That was maybe a blue flag driver right there. Not sure what had happened there, but Roje Robinson still hunting down, hunting. But Michael Thompson and Christian Gomez fighting it out for the foreseeable future. This has been a very dramatic twist to this race. Ladies and gentlemen, just a reminder, leave your top driver in the chat. Anybody who you voted, who you think deserves driver of the day so far. There's so many that could be suggested here, but we are looking forward to the counts in the chat, and we'll definitely be having them posted in our driver of the day voting in our story. So please, looking forward to seeing more and more of the drivers. But there goes Kadeem Mohammed, and he, if I do say so myself, is one who should be considered for driver of the day, as he's just been fighting all throughout this evening, but is one of the drivers that should be under consideration. Daniel Velez as well, not too far behind. It's chasing down Michael McNamee. Remember, Daniel did have a drive-through earlier, so he is one that will definitely be looking forward to gain as many positions as possible here in the next 10 or 8 minutes of this race. Daniel there on Michael McNamee. Michael McNamee does have the better line though, and he will have the defensive line, but Daniel does get to the apex right before, so he does secure that position. Little bit of contact there, but not enough to force anything too dramatic. So Daniel now continues on in P9 and is in pursuit of the Jamaican driver in front. Hard to miss him in Jayden and Roje Robinson, my apologies. With 6 minutes remaining, ladies and gentlemen, in this race, the battle is on. Not sure what's going on with our timing sheet, my apologies. Typically is showing it a little bit better, but it looks like it's having some issues here this evening. But right now, 5 minutes remaining, ladies and gentlemen, and the battles will continue on. Right, so 5.5 minutes remaining, ladies and gentlemen, and the battling is still going on, and even Dominic Charles is still right there outside of the podium positions, as he's right there on the rear end of that Toyota Corolla driven by the Swiss driver in Roje. And there he goes. Look on, he took a look, but still he closed up so quickly he had to go back on the brakes, and just now is again in pursuit, looking for that slipstream now from the Swiss driver. Will he go defensive? No, not close enough. But Dominic Charles, we know he's very strategic and will make that move at the right time. You see him carrying as much speed through that chicane. He's in that slipstream, so this looks like his moment. Roger's looking like he might go defensive, trying to break that slipstream, but still, or is he close enough? I don't think so. And there you see Dominic Charles again. It doesn't look like he can make it to the top 2. So right now, this is his strategy to just take the final points position, or podium position, my apologies, and cap off tonight. But he will have the likes of the Swiss driver in front of him in Roje to defend against and to attack, to see if he can try and make a move here this evening. Christian Gomez as well, still right there in the slipstream of Kadim Mohammed. So we'll take a look at that in a second time, because P5 is now under threat from P5 all the way down to P9. So that's going to be very interesting to watch. There goes Dominic Charles, though, goes very wide. So we'll tune back in this race in a second, because there goes Michael Thompson losing out to Kadim Mohammed, and that puts him under threat by Christian Gomez as well. And guess who else is there? Roje Robinson, who is just waiting to pounce, and there he goes, 2 positions up from P8 to P6, and now is on the hunt for Kadim Mohammed. We'll take a look back at them again, because Roger Keller and Dominic Charles still on the defensive. The two are fighting, and they will have a drag race here into turn 1. Rogers is on the inside line, so he is immediately defensive. Will this be Dominic? He did do a little bit of a switcheroo last week, and he was very creative with his overtake on Christian Gomez, but still not enough here. 3.5 minutes remaining. Dominic will still have some work to do. Roje Robinson is still looking in the rear end of Kadim Mohammed, so this looks like the two are trying their best to get as much damage limitation as possible. But there goes Dominic Charles looking on the well, they are side by side, and this will be ideal for Dominic if he can continue, because he will get a better line going into the next sequence of corners. And there he goes, P3 for Dominic Charles, and he takes that position cleanly and as smooth as a criminal from a Michael Jackson trailer video. But that goes, he is now in the final podium position, and 2.5 minutes remaining. Roje Robinson still hunting on the likes of Kadim Mohammed. He's another one that needs to get back as many points. He does lead the championship right now, but after this evening, I'm sure just wants to capitalize on as many points as possible. We have 1 drop race for the season, so if this is, well, anyways, let's not bring anything into fruition. He will be hunting down as best as possible for this next lap to see where he can gain an advantage, where he sits in the slipstream of that Bajan driver in Kadim Mohammed, and the two will be fighting it out as we get the 2-minute warning in only 10 seconds. Ladies and gentlemen, what an evening of racing this has been. I can't imagine how the drivers are feeling. They must be exhausted, because it's been non-stop action for the entirety of this race. Drivers who are sitting in the top 3 ended up in the top 10, having to fight back now all the way back to P5 and P6 and P3. So we'll definitely be watching to see what can happen. Daniel Velez did get a drive-through penalty, was relegated, and now finds himself back into P8. He did find himself on the podium after finishing or starting at the back of the field last week, so he's still hunting down as many points as he can get as the racing continues. But Roje Robinson now still hunting down the likes of Kadim Mohammed. But while we've been watching everybody else, the race leader in Jayden Harrison is only 1.1 seconds ahead of his closest competitor in Estefano Barrera. So we'll definitely look forward to seeing what will happen there. We have 1 minute remaining, so we'll have about so maybe about 3 laps remaining, but there goes Roje Robinson on the outside using that hybrid system. It's a drag race between himself and Kadim. There was a blue flag there in the way, but not enough for Roje Robinson. Maybe the slipstream helping out Kadim there, but Roje still has to fight it out for the next minute, and he'll be hunting, but this is his desperation zone. We saw him make contact with Dominic Charles here at this very moment, but now cleanly going through the sequence and leaving just enough space is Kadim Mohammed, but the two are going side by side, and that is the position gained by Roje Robinson. P5 for the Jamaican. Kadim Mohammed won't be giving it up too quickly though, I'm sure, and they will be fighting it out until, but what a brilliant battle, what a brilliant defense, but even a better offense by Roje Robinson, as you see the headlights are now on by Kadim Mohammed to try and see if some form of distractions can come on board, but he's not giving up this race. But Jayden Harrison now comes around the start finish line, so we will have 2 more laps, 1 more lap after this, so that would be unfortunate for Roje because he will still have 2 more laps to defend now against Kadim Mohammed. Right behind Kadim is Christian Gomez, right behind Christian is Daniel Velez, but right now Kadim being Roje being hunted by Kadim Mohammed, but still has a defensive line, and is enough to hold him off. Now Kadim Mohammed now still sitting in the slipstream, just waiting on his moment to shine now, but the battle is on from P5 all the way down to P9. This is going to be interesting, ladies and gentlemen. Again, we have 2 more laps, 1 more after this one, so we will ride along board with Jayden Harrison as he comes around the penultimate corner now to start that final stretch before the last and final lap of this evening. Put your bets in the chat. If you have a driver of the day that you want to contend and you want to promote, please leave their name in the chat. Who is that in the background? That was Christian Gomez, and Daniel Velez moves up a position. Michael Thompson as well, looking like he wants to see if he can get an advantage as well. And Jayden Harrison now comes around the final corner and will be starting the final lap of the race. Jayden Harrison leads from Estefano Barrera. Dominic Charles on the podium position, clear of Roje Kello, but now Kadim Mohammed still chasing down the likes of Roje Robinson, and the fight for P5 and the fight for P8 is still very much so, but Michael Thompson, who was very much so in the fight, gets a drive through for cutting, and that is his fight on done. He will have to fight John Singleton for that final points position as John passes him now as they head down now the start finish line. But as we said, Kadim Mohammed now 5 tenths off Roje Robinson and will be hunting down that Jamaican driver, has that Jamaica flag right in front of him to try and pursue. But right now, ladies and gentlemen, we said it before, Estefano did lead from start to finish in the last race. Jayden had a little bit more work to do, but has done impeccable this evening. Very well done race for him here this evening as we ride along board with him now as he comes through the final chicane, looking rapid as he does have the fastest lap on track. Comes around the final corner. Ladies and gentlemen, they say it's never over until the fat lady sings, but guess what? The fat lady just sang, and Jayden Harrison wins in P1. Estefano Barrera in P2. Dominic Charles comes around as well to finish off in P3 now, and there he goes, the top 3. Roje Kello now P4, and Roje Robinson in P5 right behind Roje Kello. Kadim Mohammed in P6, Luis Daniel Velez in P7, Christian Gomez in P8. So Sean Falloon with the best finish for him in, wait, no, my apologies, I believe he's out, right. Sorry, that was Michael McNamee in P9, Christian Gomez in P8, and John Singleton in P10, Michael Thompson in P11, so Sean Falloon in P12, Rodrigo Sonawal in P11. Tizwanto G is fighting with Fernando as well for the final, well, not points position, but the final position. The two are enjoying themselves around the back, and they come around the final corner now, ladies and gentlemen, to cap off this evening. As they come around now, Fernando finishes off in P14 as he passes Tizwanto at the end, and Tizwanto relegated to P15. Looks like he just went into the pits, maybe thought the race was over, not sure what happened there, but Fernando does pass at the line. But Jayden Harrison wins this evening, second race, followed by race 1 lead winner Estefano Barrera, and then Dominic Charles in P3. What a battle, ladies and gentlemen, what a battle, as the 3 will come out now to take their final picture for this evening.
Dominic, I'm sorry for that dive bomb. Like I thought you were going to break earlier, and then I mean later, and then I saw brake lights and I was somewhere.
Yeah, I noticed everybody is
Okay,
able to break a
just
little later
checking.
than me. It
Is my
must be
mic
some
still
kind of
scratchy?
issue with my
And
setup.
again, Raven, always a
That's
pleasure to have
good.
you with
Keep
us
it that way.
Yeah,
as we just take a brief
literally
listen
everyone else was flying past me under the
in the
brakes, and I
cool
was
down
like,
room for the
"How are you
top
all
three from
making
each
this corner?"
race. Roje Robinson, Dominic
Yeah, Dominic
Charles,
was reversing at the first 2 laps.
Estefano,
Yeah,
and Jayden Harrison. What an absolute epic
Yeah, that was
evening of
epic. I
racing,
did
ladies
some
and gentlemen.
crazy
Looking
passes
forward to seeing what
in the. I think
is going to come in the
I
next few
got pass of
moments.
the week or pass of the month in race 2.
sorry for the bump into the chicane. That was, I really
Nah,
thought you would carry a lot more speed.
yeah. I locked up. It seemed I locked up and I missed the apex of the first chicane.
Ah, because
So
I
yeah,
followed you in, and I was like, he's quicker than me through here, so I'll just follow and see what happens. And
but I was on the inside, right?
yeah, I think you
Yeah,
came a little further to the outside as we entered.
yeah. Yeah, that's that. I think that compromised my exit. But yeah, not completely, but I missed my turning point just a little bit. So racing incident, no worries about that.
And ladies and gentlemen, we are back now. We have a brief interview now, starting with Dominic Charles. Well, we have Roje Robinson, Dominic Charles, Estefano Barrera, and Jayden Harrison here this evening. We'll be starting with driver number 333. I think I just cut him off mid-conversation as I heard him talking there for a little bit. But Dominic Charles, epic battling this evening. Some unfortunate series of events for you, starting in race 1 with Roje Robinson there. Two of you making contact. The bump there in turns, I think it was turn 3 through that little S. But first of all, congratulations. You finished P3 in both races. I know that's not where you wanted to, but still, we'll still go through it in the post-race shooting, but nonetheless, for right now, congratulations, sir. It was still an epic recovery drive in both races. But yeah, can you walk us through the first race and what that experience was, and anything else that you'd like to bring up? I think you finished in P4 in the first one.
That first race was kind of rough. I came into this with no practice as well, so I'm pretty proud I made it into like the top 5.
Right.
But
in both races.
That was that first race with that extra well, I basically had a whole passenger in the car as well with the amount of ballast I had. I could not defend on the brakes at all. Like I had to brake at least 10 meters behind everyone else. So
oh no.
That was a little hard to deal with. I'm sure there's some way to account for it with the setup, because I saw the other guys with a lot of weight pushing forward as well. So I mean, I guess I just need to work on the car a little more and make some time to practice, and I should do better for the next round. But I got a little bump from Jayden. I'm not letting that one go. I mean, to be fair, I did get on the brakes earlier than he would have thought, because they are braking a little later than me. But that was rough. And then the bump with Roje, I didn't expect it to wipe me out like that.
Right, it looked exaggerated from our point of view. Yeah. It did look a little bit exaggerated, I won't lie, but still.
Yeah, I don't know. That was tough. But the second race was a even though I ended up, further back, it was a lot more fun to
Uh-huh.
make my way through the pack again.
Well, it was fun to watch, even booking up on Roje in the last 2 minutes, if I remember correctly. And you're just being very strategic in how you moved to try and make that move. Could you just walk us through that series of laps?
Yeah, well, Roger was pretty hard to predict because I found that every other driver that I go against, they usually follow their own line. So
Yeah.
you just sit behind them for 1 or 2 laps, learn their line, and you can make something happen. But every time I crept up on Roger, he would change his line. And I was like, what is going on? I don't know where to go. So I just got kind of stuck behind him because I didn't have enough pace to pass him, but I had too much pace to sit behind him. So it
Right.
was pretty difficult to find an opening.
Well, it was fun to watch until you finally got that. I saw you just get that glimmer of hope, and you just took it without even second guessing it. And then immediately, once you got past him, that was done and dusted. But I know it was an unfortunate series of events this evening, but still, nonetheless, congratulations. You did extremely well. It was fun to watch, especially from the commentator booth, and looking forward to you in the next few races. And I'm sure we'll be seeing you in the steering room after this evening's race. But
Thanks a lot.
absolutely, brother, and thank you for joining. Congratulations.
Thanks. Take care, bro.
You as well. Ladies and gentlemen, that was driver number 333, Mr. Dominic Charles. But coming in right behind him was Mr. Roje Robinson, who finished the first race in P3 and the second race in what was it? It was later. I think it was P5 or P6. So we'll drag him in now for this evening's interview. And there you hear him, driver number 10, Roje Robinson. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Roje,
How's it going?
well, I'm tired, so I can't imagine how you are. But that being said, it was an epic race. A little bit of drama we here this evening in both races. Race 1, that move with Dominic, it looked very exaggerated. That bounce in turn 3, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Could you walk us through what had happened there, even that battle?
I don't know what happened. There's a slight bump going into that left-hander downhill.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure. When I turned, the car bumped, and I guess Dominic was too close there. I could have maybe went on the inside some more, but I don't know what happened actually.
Well, it was unfortunate because it was such a battle. It was so fun to watch, especially in those early stages. Almost reminiscent of last week with that battle into the final corner, the final chicane at Thruxton. We saw a slight repeat of that with you overtaking Dominic and then Dominic trying to overtake you. Could you walk us through that next?
Yeah, I mean, it flashed in my mind. Like when I passed Dominic, I remember Thruxton. And I said, "There's no way you're passing me on the next lap." But maybe I panicked, but I made a mistake going into the last chicane, and it cut my entire speed. So he caught up to me by T1, and that's all she wrote.
Well, it was epic to watch. Race 2, though, you were fighting through the field, got onto the podium, and then there was an incident. Could you walk us through what had happened there?
Yeah, I got a really bad start, I would say. I usually start in the worst possible place. But I held my head down and I went back for the positions, to which I was comfortably in third. And I saw for multiple laps that Jayden and Rogers were having a really tough time. So after getting the run, I decided to push my teammate, and it worked out. We were 1-2.
And that was my next question, because that was caught on stream, and we said that's a little bit of team orders. With first said it was papaya rules, and then we saw the bump on the help, so we're just like, all right, no, clearly some team orders there. But yeah, sorry, you can continue.
Yeah, I decided, Jayden should be up front because he's in second place too long. And then there's Dominic behind me, so
Right.
I couldn't let Rogers and Jayden keep fighting into T1, T2, T3. That would compromise my entire lap with Dominic. So the best thing was to do at the time was to push my teammate so I can get through as well. And so said, so done. We actually pulled it off. It was a bit risky for me, especially with the pass up the hill with Rogers and Dominic. But it worked out well. And after that, Dominic caught up to me and we had a bit of a fight. We got into an incident into the chicane, and yeah, that was my entire race undone.
I was about to
Uh,
say. Um,
but yeah, he waited on me, so I was
yeah,
surprised. I wanted him to actually continue.
there's a slight feeling of maybe that's a little bit of payback, but then we know that's not what the drivers do. And again, as you said, he did concede back that position, and just goes to show the sportsmanship that we have here at the JSRA. And even that move, that bump pass with you and Jayden on Roger Kello, and then Dominic was right there. Yeah, I actually completely forgot about that move, but Dominic just took that as his moment to make a move, and that was absolutely epic. But finally, Roje, that battle between yourself and Kadeem, I mean, you're in the same downhill section by that left-hander. You and Kadeem went side by side. Could you walk us through what went through your mind through that battle? And what an epic battle, if I do say so myself.
Yeah, I think the one advantage I have is how to judge how to judge the outside passes or the inside passes or the risky moves that I need to make. I think I'm really good at it. Even Jayden asked, how do I use the radar so well?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I was just putting my skill to the test. Um, I used as much of the track limits as possible, and also keeping close to Kadeem so that he doesn't have the run. So
Right.
that's something I have been practicing, and based on where my radar is plus where the map is, I can see everything. So I know how to judge it pretty well.
Nice. And again, it was an absolutely epic move to take that podium, no, that podium position. You finished where, P5, if I remember correctly?
P5,
P5,
yes, P5.
yes. But still, you are leader of the championship. After this evening, we'll tally the results and see where you end up. But still, in contention for that top step. Roje, any thoughts as we move into round 3?
Round 3, endurance. I'm trying to do damage limitation there because I think I'm pretty strong at endurance, but the track coming up for the endurance, I don't really like that track. So
Brands Hatch?
I'm hoping my endurance experience will make up for that.
Well, the endurance
But I'm
is 2
excited
weeks
about
from
that.
now.
Again?
The next round is actually Brands Hatch, which is a sprint, and then Spa is
Oh,
the yeah. So you and I think you like Brands Hatch quite a lot, if I do say
yes,
so myself.
yes. And I came fifth, so the ballast shouldn't be
Right,
major issue.
right.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to Branzach. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, see you next week, Rohe. Again, congratulations. I can definitely see you in getting some votes for driver of the day as well as overtake of the day, because those battles were very exciting to watch, if I do say so myself. But congratulations, sir, and have a good evening. See you next week.
Yeah, thank you and have a good day.
Thank you.
Night. Night.
And ladies and gentlemen, that was Rohe Robinson, who finished in P2, followed by P5 in the second race. But Jayden Harrison, who was absolutely epic here this evening, didn't have the best qualifying setup, but immediately found himself in podium contention by lap 2 as he finished off in P2, but had quite a few battles there this evening. Jayden, can you hear us? Jayden, are you there? and he might be away from the keyboard, ladies and gentlemen. So we might be moving on from Jayden if he doesn't answer. Would love to hear from him, but we'll move on to our race winner and P2 finisher in the second race. Oh, is that Jayden?
Hello.
Jayden Harrison, good evening.
I just came back.
Well, you came back right on time as I was about to switch from you. But yeah, you were late to the race, late to qualifying, let me say. I'm sure you felt a little bit anxious there heading in. You started from P6 or P7 and immediately found yourself up into the top 4 by the end of lap 1. Could you walk us through your first lap? Do you remember your first lap?
I just got lucky. I
Well,
don't know.
it's been such a continued showing of being lucky then, if that's the case, because every start of the race you seem to just get the best launches and just get to the top as quickly as you can. So congratulations there. But yeah, you had that battle between yourself, Roje, and yourself and Roje for the P1 position, and then you're getting a little bit of a bump draft there by your teammate. Could you walk us through that?
Yeah, so I think Roger had like maybe like we had a crash, and then I had to let him go, and then I had a run on the next straight. So I went on the inside of the chicane and kind of cut it a little bit. So just to be sure I didn't get a penalty, I lifted to give him it back.
Yeah.
And then my teammate was right behind me, so I guess I got back the run and we both passed him.
Yep.
He was doing a good job defending. He almost held it out, but it worked out.
Yeah, it was absolutely epic to watch. Again, you did finish in P2 in the first race, and you won by a very dominant standing here in the second race. But outside of those moves, I feel like you had a relatively uneventful race too. Anything of memory in race 1?
No, I don't remember anything. I'm a bit dizzy, like from earlier, so I don't really remember anything. I'm actually surprised I had such a good race, because last time a race like this, it didn't go so good.
Well, it was an epic race for you. Very clean, very consistent. You kept your nose out of trouble and finishing off in P2 and P1 respectively. And I'm sure we're going to be excited to see what you have to come next week again. The Grandmaster of Starts, the man, the myth, and the legend, driver number 604, Jayden Harrison. Congratulations, sir.
I just want to say one more thing.
Please.
Big up Joshua Brady for the Joshua Brady Startup Dream Strategy.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Big up Mr. Joshua Brady from Brady Racing, our good friend here at the JSRA, and a huge shout out to him from driver number 604, Jayden Harrison. Congratulations again, brother.
You are.
Thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, the winner of race 1 by a very dominant fashion. He did set the fastest lap, led from beginning to the end. Mr. Estefano Barrera was 9 seconds clear in race 1 of his closest competitor in Jayden Harrison. Estefano, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Man, congratulations again. You look like you had a torrid beginning to the season last week, and you just said you were coming back with force to basically stamp your dominance on this championship, coming off of winning last season. How good does it feel to be back on top here this evening at Donington?
Yeah, good night for you, Stephen. Yeah, the last race was a bit hard for me because I'm not used to this car yet. I mean, front wheel drive cars are very difficult to drive for me. I don't really like understeer, so it was a challenge to get used to this. It was a shame because in the last race I didn't get enough time to practice, so I only got like 1 or 2 hours to get used to the car, and it didn't really work. So I had to get a bit of motivation from my teammate for this race. He helped me a lot to get the setup, to get a proper setup to learn the lines on the track. So yeah, I have to say thank you to Daniel because it was actually thanks to him that I got up to pace today. So I'm really happy with the result. Of course, I mean having no weight also helped me through the race one, but it's racing after all, and I got the
Absolutely.
advantage, and I took it. So it was very fun to dominate the race again. I don't remember what was the last time I got to win a race with such caps, but yeah, I'm really happy with it.
Well, it was an absolutely dominant race one. And again, huge shout out to you and your team in Nova Racing. Daniel over there has been an amazing teammate and an amazing friend. So looking forward to seeing what he can or what your team can bring to this championship. But definitely an epic showcase here. As always, thank you, brother. But race two, that was a little bit more work to do, especially with the ballast. But could you walk us through that, having to fight back from P10 all the way? I mean, you saw the drama, you saw some incidents happening in front of you, but you just kept your nose clean. Could you just walk us through what you are seeing from your point of view?
Yeah, in the second race, the car felt pretty good. Even with the ballast, I have to say it felt like the same. It was half a second slower, of course, because of the ballast, but I was really happy with the balance overall. And the race started just to get very easy because on race two, the half point system makes it not really worth to fight really hard for it. So I was just trying to survive around lap one, lap two, and then I got involved into an incident. Not really hard, but I have to say sorry to the guy. Of course, I don't know if it was my fault or not, but yeah, it was. I bumped him a little bit. So some things that you cannot avoid in the heat of the moment with a lot of cars around you. You have to eyes in your mirror, eyes in the front, eyes on the sides. It's really hard. Also looking at the radar, so um, it was, of course, a very tricky situation. Thank you to the guys that were fighting ahead of me. They were fighting ahead of me because thanks to them, I also got a second place. I got involved into some really good fights. I got to see a VIP seat there to watch them fight. A very clean fight, I have to say. And I'm really happy with the race two result. I mean, I'm gonna get a lot of ballast for the next race, but at least I know that this car feels a lot better with the ballast. It's a
With the
lot more
balance.
comfortable.
There you go. There you go. And again, congratulations. It was an epic, absolutely epic showcase from you this evening. And glad to see you back on form. Did see you practicing a little bit earlier than I normally see you, so I'm not surprised by the result. But nonetheless, brother, congratulations and looking forward to seeing you next week at Brands Hatch. Any final words to you, your fans, Estefano? And ladies and gentlemen, I think we might have lost Estefano there at the final part. We'll hold off for a few seconds just in case he has any final words. But that being said, ladies and gentlemen, this does bring the stream to a conclusion. It was an absolutely epic evening of racing. I myself am pretty tired. I can't imagine the drivers. But a huge shout out as always to our sponsors and our friends, our partners. We extend our continued gratitude to all who make this tour possible. Emanuelle Boutique, Real Clothes for Real Women, Next Gen Marketing, managing all of our social medias, 7 Mile Racing, our title sponsor from last season, as well as our Drive of the Day sponsor for this season, and finally our title sponsor for this season and for many more, Ceramic Care, the #1 ceramic coating specialist in Jamaica, specializing in complete paint and interior protection. Ladies and gentlemen, I have been your host. Again, huge shout out to Mark Ryu. Miss having you here with us and looking forward to seeing you come back. And ladies and gentlemen, we have quite a few new things in the ranks for the next few weeks. We have LMU Sprint Series starting next week. Just hearing Estefano actually for real. Estefano. Sorry, we have Le Mans Ultimate Sprint Series starting next week, Saturday. We have round 3 of the Caribbean Touring Car Championship next week, Friday. And what if this is the kind of and level of racing? We have Nova Racing, we have GT Panama, we have JSRA drivers all coming forth. Huge thanks to the fans as well for all the kind comments. I'm sorry that you had to suffer through my voice for the entirety of the stream, but nonetheless, it's been absolutely epic to have you. It's been absolutely epic to bring this epic racing, if I do say so myself, to bring it forth towards for everyone to watch and enjoy. I've been your host, and a huge thanks to our drivers. Huge shout out to Mark Ryu as well. I know you'll return when you get the chance, brother. Miss you, and we'll definitely be in contact sooner than later. But ladies and gentlemen, I am signing off. Have a wonderful evening. God bless you. It's been an absolute pleasure. This has been the Jamaica Simulation Racing Caribbean Touring Car Season 2, race number 2.